Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us for this segment, we have Sara Mehle, ESG Index Strategist with Nasdaq Global Indexes, to discuss the Nasdaq-100 ESG Index, which is tracked by the Invesco ESG Nasdaq-100 ETF. Sara, it's great to have you with us. Welcome back to Trade Talks.
Hey, Jill, great to be here.
All right, you got it. Let's start at the top here. What is the objective of this index?
Yeah, so today we're going to take a look at the Nasdaq-100 ESG Index. So this index really is unique as it's combining those innovation names with a layer of sustainability. So the objective here is just we're taking the Nasdaq-100 Index and we're screening for to make sure that we're holding those names that meet a certain level of specific environmental, social, and governance criteria, so ESG. Companies are evaluated and weighted based on their business activities, controversies, and ESG risk ratings, and we're using data from Sustainalytics to determine these various screens. So this index is tracked by, as you mentioned, the Invesco ESG Nasdaq-100 ETF, as well as the Invesco ESG Nasdaq-100 Index ETF on the Toronto Stock Exchange, and as well as the Invesco Nasdaq-100 ESG UCITS ETF on the London Stock Exchange. So a few different offerings there. But again, this is really looking to combine that innovation with sustainability. It is updated on a quarterly basis, so reevaluated, whereas the Nasdaq-100 Index itself is updated once a year. So based on this most recent screen, we did have 10 exclusions. So 10 stocks that are in the Nasdaq-100 that did not make it into the Nasdaq-100 ESG Index. Those are just names that either did not have ESG risk data available or just didn't meet those criteria. So really just adding that extra layer of sustainability.
And let's take a look at that. You have more detail on this next slide here about some of the exclusions that are removed from the index.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, names are excluded if we don't have any ESG data available. So those are automatically excluded. As I mentioned, of the 10, excluded 2 of those this time around were because of that reason. We also exclude names if they have a controversy level of 5. So sustainability is going to assign a controversy level of 1 to 5, 5 being the worst. We also exclude names if they have a risk rating that we would be considered to be severe, which is over 40. And then we exclude also if the company is said to have violated or is non-compliant with the United Nations Global Compact. We also look at some outside or some business involvement. So we drill down into each of these areas at a different level, but just on the surface, we're looking at energy, health and life, defense and military, and value space. So within energy, we're looking at oil and gas production. We're looking at revenue from that. Shale energy, involvement with thermal coal. Health and life, we're looking at are they involved in the tobacco industry, alcohol industry. For defense and military, looking at controversial weapons, riot control, small arms, things like that. In value space, just looking into those names in the adult entertainment business or gambling. So each of these areas we do drill down a little differently. So it's not just like a blanket screen for all of these, but those are generally the areas that we're diving a little deeper into.
How has the Nasdaq ESG 100 Index performed relative to the flagship Nasdaq 100 Index?
Yeah, so since the back test, which started in March of 2016, on a total return basis, the Nasdaq 100 ESG Index is up over 184%, outperforming that flagship index, the Nasdaq 100, by 11.83%. So since inception, so the index was the inception, so live data goes back to June 21st of 2021. The index is down, but it is still outperforming the Nasdaq 100 Index over 2%. In 2022, it was a rough year for the Nasdaq 100 Index as well as the Nasdaq 100 ESG Index, but we did see 85 bips of outperformance there for 2022. And then Q4, just looking down from September 30th of 2022 through the end of 2022, the index itself outperformed the Nasdaq 100 Index by 2.26%. So that index actually was in the black over 2% for the final quarter of the year. And this year, we're only 20 days or 19 days, if you will, into the trading year, but so far the index is up over 4.5%. So, really taking advantage of this rebound as we enter the new year.
All right. Appreciate the insight as always, Sara. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.